I want to start off this video by thanking everyone for your concern for my well-being and for your patience during my absence and letting you know that I'm alive, just managing a chronic condition that had a bad flare around October of last year. I have some recordings which were not previously edited, plus some newly recorded videos that are going to be released in the coming weeks. That's the TLDR of what's going on right now. To get the whole story, I have to start back in April of 2020. My wife and I both got sick with one of the original COVID-19 strains. We were both sick for about 2 months. Unbeknownst to me at the time, the virus caused a change in the autoimmune condition that I have. In addition to the normal symptoms getting worse, I also developed some of the more rare symptoms, namely joint pain and fatigue. There's a possibility that I always had those symptoms, and if that's the case, the immune response I had with COVID caused them to get much worse. Regardless, it was manageable until our house flooded at the end of August 2022. The stress of dealing with the aftermath of that event caused a flare in my condition. The joint pain I was experiencing increased to the point where I couldn't walk without support, and the fatigue got significantly worse. If it was just the joint pain, I'd be miserable, but could somehow manage. However, with the fatigue being so bad, doing anything beyond personal maintenance was difficult. Now, I can almost hear you saying, but that was almost a year ago, and I know that. It took me about a month to get an appointment for my normal doctor, and then I was put on a 4-month waiting list to see a specialist. At that point, I had a diagnosis and was given an anti-inflammatory medication to help with the joint pain. I've also been working with a physical therapist to try to find a way to mitigate the fatigue and joint pain. I'm still not fully recovered on that front, and it's still difficult to work like this, but at least it's more manageable, and that's where I'm at now. I have some recordings from when I was still doing okay that I never got around to editing, and I'll be working on those and putting them out starting in the next week or two. I have an almost completed campaign run of Celeste that I'm working on. I've been slowly working on it since I recorded it back in August and September of last year, but I never committed to releasing it. I have 11 edited videos and around 12 hours of unedited footage, plus maybe 2 hours of gameplay left to record. I do want to revisit the challenge modes of the campaign once I'm done, but I'll need to see how I feel about it at the time. Also, whenever I feel like I'm done, I've got another platformer lined up for recording. I also have 5 hours of gameplay from a game called Black Skylands that's completely unedited. It's a pretty fun adventure game and I do want to record more of it, but it's recently had a 1.0 released in this past August with some major gameplay changes, so I'm probably just going to start over on my save, but it's still a game I want to play and record. I also have some gameplay of RE Legend that I have edited, but I'm uncertain that I want to continue playing the game because there were a couple of things about the game that were frustrating me. The big one being the taming mechanics. For one, the taming minigame is impossible on a keyboard, so I have to keep a controller plugged in and within reach. And two, I've seen several of the game's versions of shinies, but couldn't tame them due to me not having the right taming food in my inventory at the time, and the creature despawned when I left the area it was in. Yeah, it didn't feel good after the first time it happened, and the second time kind of killed all the fun I was having with the game. I'm also putting Dice and Sphere Program on hold for the time being. The section of the game I left off at will require a massive amount of time to make any meaningful progress. If I take a look at episode 7 and episode 9 to gauge the amount of time, it took me 5 hours to set up the interplanetary logistics system for episode 7, and to set up purple science for episode 9 took close to 10 hours. I'd be doing something similar with green science, except I'd be dealing with interstellar logistics, which seems to be more complicated than the interplanetary logistics system. I'm estimating it would take 20 to 30 hours to get a suitable conclusion for that episode. In other words, get a working logistical system that isn't going to stall out on either side of the network, and mass-produce green science, which is kind of also part of the not stalling on either side. The ultimate goal of the series would be to make white science, but I see that being several episodes down just because of the sheer number of hours it would take to get there. It's honestly a daunting task which completely stalls my enjoyment of the game, especially since I'm already 55 hours into the save. I also have 110 hours of a multiplayer Terraria 1.4.0 Master Mode playthrough that I recorded with my wife back in 2020, and I never fully edited and released it. There are 2 episodes which were put out back in July of 2020. Is that something that anybody would be interested in? I know the footage is over 3 years old at this point, but I'd be willing to edit it if there's any interest. Then there's Starfield. I've been playing and recording it since it was released, and those episodes will start coming out as soon as I can edit them. I know, you might be thinking that's a lot, and you're right, it is a lot of work. It's been easier to record unscripted content than it is to edit it, and I've been slowly editing it what I have, but I haven't been committing to releasing anything because I haven't been recording anything new until recently. I'm hoping to get back into recording more once I'm through editing my backlog. I've got a list of games that I want to record, and I want to get to them soon. Also, let's address the mammoth in the room. I'm probably not going to return to Ark, at least not anytime soon. I got burned out from playing it, and I honestly haven't sat down to play the game for fun in a while. The game was built as a persistent multiplayer survival PvP game, and the mechanics of a game like that don't translate well into a single player experience. As for the tutorials I was posting, those are also on hold. For normal knockout tames, the process is repetitive and the same, and there isn't anything new on that front. For non-violent tames, it was either food in the last spot of the hotbar spam, some obscure mechanic, or an obscure mechanic that was difficult or impossible to do solo. Most newer creatures fell into that last category, especially the ones that were added in Genesis Part 2. Not to mention there's less reliable information available online, and a bigger need for me to verify everything or fill in the blanks in my script in the game. A process that used to take me 5 or 6 hours per video now takes 20 or more. And I'll say it again, I got burned out. Maybe if Ark 2 is built to have a mode balanced around single player, maybe with a campaign, I'll play it through to the end of the campaign and see how I feel about making more in-depth videos after that. If it's more of the same persistent multiplayer survival PvP game that Ark is, I don't know how I feel on making videos on it. We'll have to see, but with the delays it's been having, I don't know when that will be. Well, anyways, that's all I've got for today. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and have yourselves a very good day. And that I'm alive. Yes, I'm alive. Oh, you cute kitty. You're so cute. Oh, she's such a poor baby. She came to check on me.